Buccaneers lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in what was a great game. For the second time this season, the Buccaneers lose a primetime game in overtime when they never even got to touch the football. Happening against Atlanta, happens here. I was curious, so I checked the win probability chart. The biggest play in this game, according to win probability, was the coin toss. So you can sit here and blame overtime rules if you want. I'm probably not going to do that as much as some other Buccaneers fans are going to, because they didn't have to let it go to overtime. This is a game that was avoidable. This was a situation that was avoidable. I'm going to give the Chiefs credit in a second, but I want to start off with some Todd Bowles towards the end of this game. More or less blows it. The Buccaneers have this incredible drive. They get down to the 1-yard line with 33 seconds left and one timeout. For some reason, Bowles calls a timeout right away, which is just a horrible decision. In fairness, it looks like Baker was also trying to call a timeout, so I think that's a bad call. You want to save that timeout, get another 15 seconds off the clock, run another play. That would have made more sense to me, because we saw the Chiefs had another drive. But what it also does is we saw Tampa Bay ultimately score on a on a fake run pass play, also known as play action. They had a chance to go for two, and they elected not to. And I don't get why you're doing that. I mean, your offense was playing great. These defenses were gassed. Make no mistake, this game was going to come down to the coin toss. I'm not someone who believes that all overtime come down to the coin toss, but given how gassed both of these defenses were because of how much these teams were running the ball due to the bad weather, it was going to determine the game. It just was. It's a horrible decision. Horrible decision. That being said, I mean, you'd have loved to get a stop in overtime. The Chiefs are able to make it work. Listen, I'll give the Chiefs their due right now. The Chiefs are great. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins looks like a legit, DeAndre Hopkins again. Mahomes wasn't even 100% in this game, and he still is Patrick Mahomes. The way this offense, they did beat themselves early on in the game, I thought. The Chiefs, I don't think they're going to look at this game and say they played perfect throughout. But, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Their defense is suffocating. I mean, there were some plays where it's just like, what do you even do if you're Baker Mayfield? Like, even under not their best game, they're still able to. They have so many ways to win. Their running game getting going in this game. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. We get it. But this is a Buccaneers fan reaction, so I'm going to give my thoughts as a Buccaneers fan. This loss sucks. Like, it does. It does. I don't care that you almost beat the 8-0 Chiefs. You didn't. Like, you had an opportunity to, and you didn't, and you're 4-5 now. Like, you can't. There's no room for moral victories. You needed this win. Like, you can't let these games slip through your fingers. And yes, you could argue they would have stolen this game, but I don't know. I mean, they had more yards per play in this game than Kansas City. Like, this is a game they could have won. And I think due to some, in my opinion, poor decisions at the end there, they did not, which really sucks. We got to talk more about Todd Bowles, I think. We will get into positives. Don't get me wrong. There were some positive takeaways, but some of this stuff, like, okay, Todd Bowles starts the game putting Zion McCollum against Xavier Worthy, and then has, the Buccaneers have no real corners outside of, once Jamel Dean goes down, outside of Zion McCollum. So Josh Hayes gets the start. And, I mean, listen, I'm not going to crush the guy. He's playing like how you would expect him to play, right? He's a guy who's supposed to be a depth piece, has to get thrown in here and be a number 2 corner. That's difficult. They have some good slot corners, Tampa Bay does. Tyke Smith, who plays like slot corner, safety hybrid, is really good. But in terms of outside corners, he's their number 2. They put Hayes one-on-one against Hopkins. I got sidetracked, but they put Hayes one-on-one against Hopkins to start the game. I think that's fine. I totally understand why they made that decision, because, Worthy has great speed. McCollum can keep up with him. Right off the bat, it makes sense. Very early on in this game, it was not working. And very early on, Bowles should have made an adjustment, and he just never did. Clearly, that was not the correct call. If you're going to do that, you have to be doubling Hopkins in an end zone situation, which was the game. A 3rd down and goal, end zone situation. They leave Hayes on Hopkins one-on-one, no double team there. You gotta help him, I think, if you're gonna do that, or put him on a better matchup. That allows the Chiefs to get a touchdown instead of a field goal. And they lost this game in overtime. And there were a few plays like that for Bowles. So it's just frustrating. And it's like Bowles does a lot of good things. You can't be doing this stuff. Like, you just can't. When the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, what happened against Green Bay? They considered punting the ball away on that 4th and 3, then said, no, let's go for it. They get the conversion with a Fournette pass, and then they score a Hail Mary with Scotty Miller, right? Yeah, the Tampa Bay multiple punts on 4th and short in this game, including one in Kansas City territory. And listen, I kind of understood both of them, but it's like, this is how you lose football games against good teams. And not going for 2 there, it's just inexcusable. There's no reason that should have happened. You could argue there was too much time left, but there was too much time left because Bowles didn't call a timeout. So, man, really frustrating because you win this game. Look, playoffs are going to be really hard. They just are. Like, okay, you can survive. And again, I swear I'm going to get into positives in a second, but if you lose to San Francisco, which they will be underdogs against, you're 4-6. What's the record? Well, okay, they have an easier schedule. You play the Giants, Panthers twice, the Raiders, and then you expect those to be wins, right? That's 5 wins. That puts you at 9. And then the other 3 games, you have the Chargers, Cowboys, and Saints. You could win a couple of those as well. So you could get up to 10 and 11. Like, this is not over, but you can't lose any of those games now. Like, you pretty much, if you can maybe lose 1 in that stretch, you can't lose 2 where you're done. It's just so hard to win that many games. Not impossible, though. So, and I guess I should shift gears a little bit and say that's the positive, right? As frustrating of a loss as this is, they've lost, I believe it's 4 out of 5 now. As frustrating as all this is, they did nearly beat the 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Granted, the Chiefs play everyone close, but, still, like, you were right here with them. And the Chiefs have had some blowouts this season as well. They blew out the 49ers. They blew out the Saints, right? The Raiders' score was closer than it really was. So, like, you were able to hang with them. This offense has still looked solid without Evans and Godwin. They still really need Evans back, and they will get him back at a certain point. And the defense did look better today. Again, the Chiefs can't pass block. They just can't. It helps when Jawan Taylor gets a false start every play. I don't know why they don't call that, but I can't complain about that because they've never called that. That's been his whole career. So, what can I say? But still frustrating. But that being said, the Buccaneers did get a pass rush in this game. The Chiefs, their tackles just aren't great. But the Chiefs' run blocking was really good, and that's a concern for Tampa Bay, I think. The running, it was not a great run defense game. The overall numbers look pretty good. Kareem Hunt, 3.9 yards per rush, but I thought that, as the game went along, he was really able to get the yards he needed, I thought. So, yeah, listen. Chiefs are a good football team. Chiefs are a good football team. Mahomes is Mahomes. Sucks that he couldn't throw one of those fluky interceptions against us, but he nearly did. That Winfield play at the end there, right? Winfield nearly had the interception at the end. You would have loved to see him make that play. And I'll say this too, like, Tampa Bay made too many mistakes. Like, there was that play. Speaking of Winfield, there was a play early on in the game that the Buccaneers, I believe, are up 10. They're up 7-3. Early on, it's a 3rd down play. Mahomes tries to thread the needle as getting hit, kind of throws one up. Winfield has an easy deflection. He instead goes for an interception, which was weird because he was behind, Hopkins. It turns into a big Hopkins catch. That interception wouldn't have helped you. It was 3rd down. The Chiefs aren't that aggressive on 4th downs, which is weird because they have Mahomes, but, and you would have been inside your own 5. Maybe you get a nice return, but to me, that was, I don't want to say selfish, but it might have been a little bit selfish there by Winfield. Like, make the play and, like, move on and, help the team out. I didn't love that play by Winfield. You already got paid. It's not helping you in contract negotiations. I think I wouldn't say he was selfish. I think he was trying to make a play and just made the wrong one, but he made the wrong one, and it hurt them. So that wasn't good. Baker was great. He had that one drop pick early on, but, like, he was great in this game. The run game was not working at all. No receivers. Shout out Sterling Shepard, who, again, I'm not going to say he was consistently great all game, but when they needed him at the end there, he was able to make some plays. Kate Otton's a really good receiving tight end. He did a good job. Even the backs, like, Bucky Irving's numbers are horrible, 7 carries for 24 yards. I thought he played pretty well in this one. I just thought that the Chiefs stopped the run so well. This offensive performance was definitely promising by Tampa Bay. It was. Putting up 24 and having that final drive against this team, that's awesome. And the defense played better than I would have expected. I thought we really had a chance to win this game, and I'm really disappointed we didn't. But I was kind of frustratedly going through the schedule earlier. Let's maybe less frustratedly go through it again real quick. As I mentioned, there are winnable games on the schedule. If you lose to the 49ers, which isn't a guarantee, they just nearly beat the Chiefs. It isn't a guarantee. But if you do lose that game, and then you beat the Giants, Panthers, and Raiders, now you find yourself in a situation where you're back above 500 at 7-6. They played the Chargers. I think you look at that as kind of a scheduled loss, perhaps. But then you play the Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. Those could be 3 more wins. I think I screwed my math up earlier. That puts you at 10, which, it stings because, I did screw up my math. I was saying they could have 11. I add an extra win there. But if that puts you at 10 wins, you feel pretty good about that. I do have to say, though, in the NFC, 10 wins does not guarantee you a playoff spot. It just doesn't. Because you look at, take the division winners out of it right now. You have the Eagles, who are 6-2. That's going to be a tough team to compete against. You're several games behind them. 2.5 games behind them. You have the Vikings, who are 6-2, and then the Packers, who are 6-3. So a wild card spot's going to be tough. You also have the Falcons, who are 6-3, but you don't have the tiebreaker against them. So, for them to make the playoffs, they might need 11 wins. That might be what it takes. And given this situation, can you find 11 wins there? Sure, you can. You absolutely can. But that would basically mean they have to win out, right? So, no, they could, because the 17-game schedule, math is hard, throwing me off here at 11:30 at night. But, you can lose one more and get the 11 wins. Realistically, 10 wins is on the table. They looked good, but you can't keep looking good in losses. It's not going to work. So, frustrating game, and they've really had a chance, and it's really frustrating. But give credit to the Chiefs again. I still think they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I'll end on the refs stuff because there's a lot of refs talk. The refs were not why the Buccaneers lost this game. They just weren't, and the Bucs got a very favorable call early on a touchdown drive. I don't know. The Juwan Taylor stuff is annoying, but he does, that's every game. They don't call that for whatever reason, and he takes advantage. So, if they don't call it on him, why should he stop, right? So I don't blame them for it. And I think some of the other stuff is overblown. Both teams got a way of calls in this game, in my opinion. Referee's never going to be perfect. You got to outperform it. Go for 2 next time, Todd Bowles. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Entertaining game, but ultimately disappointing for me. What do you think? I hate this overtime rule stuff too. I just don't like the coin toss. That's all I don't like. I love the overtime rules itself is fine. I just don't like the coin toss being what decides it. That's how I view it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.